Now what will it be? Death or exile?
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the TV Exiles. This week, we will be looking at episode 7 of the final season of Star Wars: The Clone Wars, titled Dangerous Debt. As usual, joining me for this review is my fellow Star Wars enthusiast, Chris.
Hey, Brandon. Let's get into it.
So let's start with our overall thoughts. Chris, what did you think about this episode where Ahsoka, Trace, and Rafa end up?
Well, they end up pretty much where they started, right? Nothing much happened in this episode.
Yeah. A little storytelling in between, but yeah, it literally goes nowhere.
Yeah. As far as the whole arc's concerned, this doesn't really contribute anything to it. What I'd say is there's just a few interesting tidbits within the episode that will be good for any fan of the canon, but beyond that,
yeah, just little cameos, possible cameo maybe.
Possible cameo. So we possibly saw Hando in the jail escape, although there's no real dialogue to it. Just could be someone of his race, right?
Yeah, I'm on the side that it could be of his race, but it's Star Wars, so you never know.
Yeah, I mean, from my perspective, it would be why bother showing him at all if it wasn't him. I mean, they could have just put any generic alien there. So that's why I'm swaying towards it might be him.
Yeah, again, it's possible. I personally think they probably would have made a bigger deal out of it if it was, but you never know. It could have just been kind of a quick, oh, hey, look, it's Hondo, goodbye. And then there was also another cameo from Bo-Katan, who we've seen before. Yeah. Did you recognize her?
Well, I recognized it was a Mandalorian, and from the dialogue that it was that she recognized Ahsoka from Karlak, it kind of indicated to me that it was someone that we had seen before. I didn't know at the time that it was Satine's sister, but having done a little looking, it makes perfect sense that that's who it would be.
Yes, so she's kind of taken over the Mandalorians. I mean, not really Death Watch as much as kind of the Mandalorian soldiers after the whole confrontation with Pre Vizsla and Darth Maul. She refused to side with Maul after that. So
correct.
So I see that as tying into the Siege of Mandalore episodes coming up.
Yeah, so there's more here about the following arc rather than the current arc, which kind of got me interested in the next arc. This one, like I said, pretty much not very eventful. Again, I wanted more of Ahsoka. I've been waiting almost a decade for more Ahsoka, and what I'm getting is just more about these sisters that I don't care about.
Yeah, I agree. It's a little bit too much of them, and they're a little annoying. There was a story that they were telling Ahsoka when they were in prison, as far as losing their parents.
Correct,
and why they have a negative outlook on the Jedi.
Then there was something about that I wanted to mention. Yeah, it's a nice little story, and it provides us their motivation, but the reasoning for them offering it up was completely out of the blue. It didn't follow any of the dialogue, or it wasn't really relevant to the situation. They just brought it up, which I thought was quite strange.
The issue for me on the story is that it's basically the exact same story told by Wanda and Petro Maximoff in Age of Ultron. It's
right.
It's the hero's bombs dropped on our home, and we had to sit there knowing that the hero was the one that killed our family, and now we hate the hero.
Yeah,
and
not very
it's literally the exact same thing. It's not creative at all. It's Disney copying Disney again.
Yeah, something you mentioned last time, and yeah, it's pretty much what happened.
I mean, it's a good story. It's a good way to show that that somebody might think are a hero might look as a villain. I mean, it's perspective. And I mean, it's the person in the story was Luminara, who is a Jedi Master that we know very well from the Clone Wars. So I mean, you're like, well, how could you dislike her? She's actually she's really good. But I mean, you get the idea. But again, it just to me, it's reused material.
Yeah, I mean, again, like the stories for me, it's fine. It's nothing special. I'm not expecting anything particularly groundbreaking from an episode of Clone Wars in and of itself. But for me, it was more the issue of they're trying to get out of this prison, and then all of a sudden, out of the blue, with no reason whatsoever, she just brought up a story about why she hates Jedi. I'm like, okay, cool. Not relevant, okay, but cool.
Yeah.
Thanks for sharing.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's just kind of, we're at the point where these 3 episodes so far have kind of felt like filler and in too short of a season as it is. So I'm hoping that the next episode can maybe tie it up nicely to where the arc works. Mm-hmm. Sometimes a story is better as a whole than each piece individually. I don't have high hopes, but I do hope in some form that they button it up nicely.
Cool.
So 1 episode left in this arc. What are your hopes for the final episode, Chris?
That it comes and goes and we get on to the next one.
and that's fair. So I guess that will do it for this week's review. We'll be back with our thoughts on episode 8 next week and the end of this arc as a whole. Chris, why don't you tell listeners where they can find you online?
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter at Vinaldo7.
All right, and you can find me at _meatball_84. That will do it for this week, and until next time, stay exiled.